to Enduro 360. I'm your host, Chili White. Today, let's talk about some more tools. Of course, tools is kind of a loaded subject. Of course, we all love tools, but as it's pretty obvious to understand, few of us have the exact same ideas about what the best tools are. So today we're going to talk about 8mm. I have a whole bunch of them, so let me dig them out, show you what I use, why I've got them, what each one's purpose is, and we'll go from there. So give me a minute to get these rounded up and we'll start talking. Okay, here's my collection of 8mm things. Let's start with the most common one, the one I use the most. That is my Super Duper Terry Cable T-handle. These are fixed socket T-handles, which lots of people use, multiple T-handles or removable socket T-handles. But for in the shop, I just love this thing. So this one's also special. This is 8, 10, and 13. Terry sent me those. I don't even know if you can get those anymore. At the time, I think he said he only had 1 or 2 lying around it. I use that thing for everything. It reaches most all places on the KTM. Has a really nice balance to it, so it's really good for spinning. And I mean, half of all the work I do on the motorcycle, I do with this one tool. It is a great tool. I love it. Good quality sockets on it. These aren't like the cast, you've seen some versions of these, they're just cast ends and they're kind of cheesy. These are good quality sockets on here. And then for my toolkit, I have the exact same thing in a small size. These things, this has been my toolkit staple for well over a decade. Again, this is the Terry Cable one. This is an 8, 10, 12, which is their common size. Still, I absolutely love this thing. I don't go anywhere without it. So, most things are there, most everything on the bike, that's it. The rest of these are mostly specialty things. Of course, I have my 3/8 drive, 8mm, the 6-point. Not many places you need a lot of torque on the 8s, but still having a 6-point is nice. Normally, I use it on the head of this wobbly extension. It's just great for getting into those places that are a little too hard to get to. The head will wobble around a little bit. So, for example, radiators. Getting in back to put that 8mm on for mounting the radiators to the frame. Or particularly if you're putting radiator guards on and you have to shove this thing through a long hole to get that bolt back in there. This with the wobbly head works really, really good. I also use it on the end of this little 3/8 extension that goes into my impact wrench. Again, this is an old Milwaukee. This is one of the very first impact wrenches you could get with a little receiver like that. Gotta be kind of careful when using that on things, but I use it all the time. I absolutely love it. So that's it for my 3/8 socket. When I need to go for a hand wrench, I usually use this long skinny one. This is just a cheap Husky brand. It's funny, it actually has a casting fly in it, and I didn't even know it until I'd owned it for about a year. But again, being as you don't really need a lot of torque on most things that are 8mm heads, this 12-point works out just fine. This one, here's another cheapo tool. Ooh, a Master Grip with a spinning ratchet head. What is that for? This only has one purpose. I only use this wrench for one thing, but it's the very best for it. That is getting to the valve inspection covers on the RFS motors, particularly the exhaust one. This will reach right up there in the exhaust. I can put my finger on it to hold it in place, and just real tight area, I can spin those bolts out of there without having to pull the radiators. And that is what that one tool does, and does better than anything else in the world. Then the only thing in the world I use a quarter-inch drive for is for this 8mm deep wall. Again, it's on a wobbly head with a little folding handle, quarter-inch drive socket. This is particularly good for those heads that are sitting recessed in tight places. Seat bolts, it reaches in there to ratchet under the seat perfect. Side cover bolts, both clutch and ignition side, that is the perfect tool to get in and be able to get those out because of the tight confines that this socket won't always fit into properly. Whole bunch of little places this thing works just perfect. So I just leave this whole setup as one unit laying in my toolbox, and that's the only 1/4 inch drive I really use for anything. So there you have it. You notice I don't actually use the KTM T-handle that comes in the toolkit. I do have one special use for that. That's in the 6mm. We'll talk about that another time. But there you go. That is my collection of 8mm. Seems like a bunch of them, but every single one of these I use all the time. Okay, well that'll do it for talking about tools in the garage and Enduros 360 today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.